Hey guys, welcome to the Something New Show. I'm Mindy, your host, and I'm so glad to have one of my favorite people, my own personal life mentor, Dr. Wendy Shirk, with us today. And Wendy's going to share a whole bunch of knowledge, so I hope you get ready, get your pens out. There's some things to take note of. But before we begin, I love to read a quick introduction so you know who she is. She is a board-certified coach in life coaching, executive coaching, and couple coaching. She's also a business consultant specializing in medical, dental, and veterinary practice management, as well as business formation and business maximization. A board-certified coach is different than a therapist, although they do have some similarities. So she likes to help her clients maximize their purpose and produce results. Maybe, Wendy, let's have you start by telling us what's the difference between a therapist and a coach.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about that, Mindy, because so many times the therapy comes from a medical model, and it comes from that model of something's wrong with you, and you need a diagnosis, and then you need treatment. And I love therapy. I totally believe in therapy. My dad's a therapist. I've gone to therapy. I'm a big fan. But a coach deals with the present and the future and what your goals are and how to get you to your goals. So, we work on the gap of how to get to your goals. So it's kind of exciting because we look at the client as a whole person who is not sick. Not that we don't have issues. We all have issues. But we look at how can we meet your goals and take you from present to future. I don't deal much with the past like a therapist does. So a lot of times I'll send my clients back to therapy if they need a little bit of therapy because maybe they're blocked and they're not achieving their goals as fast as they'd like to because maybe they need to go into their past and dig up some things. So I believe in therapy, but what I do is so there is no recording in a medical, in your medical files. There's no insurance, so there's no tracking of the coaching. And a lot of people really like that because the new laws today require that therapists put information in your treatment notes that actually is seen by other doctors and seen by the patient. They see it as a patient. I see it as a client. I see people as clients. And so more and more people are wanting that privacy. And so they're turning to board-certified coaches. And, most board-certified coaches are also therapists, but it's wonderful to have that freedom where I can get involved with people at a much deeper basis as well and really get to know them as friends, whereas a therapist is supposed to have a lot of barriers between them and their patients in that case. So I really enjoy that. And coaches we get into all the things about life and the balance of life and balancing work and life and all of those things. But we really look at it as the client is already well, they're ready to go, and we believe that they can get to their goals. And we're there to facilitate that.
I love that. Well, and I love your personal statement that you say that you help your clients maximize their purpose and produce results. So I think there's probably a lot of listeners that think about, how do I even know my purpose? So, Dr. Wendy, how could we find, what are some of the ways and tools in which you encourage people to walk through in order that they could find their purpose?
Yeah, you're a great example of someone who knows her purpose and who has maximized it to the nth degree. And I've enjoyed watching your life from the time you're a student to now and just seeing the powerhouse you are and the superwoman you are and everything you've been able to achieve through God's help and your faith and everything else. But you have learned to take all of your secret sauce and all of the things that make you special, and you've learned how to get those butterflies to fly in formation. You've learned how to take all of those things and put them together. So when I help my clients maximize their purpose and produce results, what I want them to do is become you-ier. I don't want them to work on their weaknesses. I want them to work on their strengths. Because with your strengths being the best that they can be, the weaknesses pale in comparison.
So I just want to make sure people heard that you're trying to make them become more like themselves.
Right, which is why I call it you-ier.
Interesting.
I know it's not a vocabulary word.
But I like it. Okay, so continue.
Yeah, so I really take them through a pathway to purpose. And the pathway to purpose includes knowing what your balance wheel shows. And I look at 8 facets of life, and it's a balance wheel that I created. And it starts with your values in the middle of the wheel. So you have to know your values. What are all of the values, and how do you make decisions? That's in the middle of the wheel. But then you look at all the different facets of life, your personal development, your financials, your all of those things, and you determine, are you in balance? And so with the pathway to purpose, we do the balance wheel. We do an exercise called drivers and drainers, where I have all my clients look at all the things that they do that they are good at in their day. And in their work life. And they look at all those things, and then they think, okay, what are the activities that drive me that I lose track doing because I love them so much, versus the activities that drain them. So they might be really good at those activities, but they drain them. And my goal is to get my clients to be in their drivers 65% or more of the day. And honestly, I would say most of my clients are in their drivers in their day, 24 hours. They're probably in their drivers 85% or more of their day.
Wow. Okay. Now, I remember doing this exercise with you a while back, and it was fascinating. Can you recall just some of the activities that are on there so people can start to think about their day in the activity sense, and break it down to where, okay, yes, I'm actually maybe out of balance.
Right.
I am doing more drainers in my day. And I mean, and that's happened a lot to both Jordan and I, where we were carrying things and doing things that were draining us substantially the majority of our day, until you came into our world and said, let's take an analysis. We're going to audit your day. So what are some of those things?
And I loved
there?
working with the two of you, because you're such powerhouses. And when you really discovered, okay, these are activities I love, these are activities I really don't like, even though I'm good at them, how can we balance that and maybe give each other the drainers if it's a driver for the other, or hire someone? It's worth it. You are worth it. We are worth it. We're worth getting help sometimes. Or in a working environment, going to your boss and trading up activities just based on your drivers. And I do that with companies as well. So it's kind of fun in doing that. But yeah, some of the activities on there, it's a long list. It's about a page and a half of 3 columns. So it could be anything from spreadsheets to analyzing data to tracking KPIs. It could be, anything like creating content. It could be being out in front and public speaking. All of those kinds of things, we have to look at what drives you, what excites you, because in becoming you-ier, or becoming more in your purpose, you're in your lane. You're staying in your lane of purpose. And when you maximize your lane, you can go really fast in your lane. But if you are not in that kind of purpose in your life, you are just slowing yourself down, and you're bogging yourself down, and you're getting more and more discouraged in your day. We only have 24 hours each. We have the same number of hours to maximize as anyone else. So what do you do with those 24 hours? That's how you maximize. So in addition to the balance wheel and the drivers and drainers, I also do a lot of self-assessments that people might understand, like the Enneagram and the DISC profile and spiritual gifts. I love to look, and also Strength Finder. I like to look at all of those data points, because that shows how all of those purpose pieces or all of those assessments come together in your lane and in your purpose. And when people really get that, they know how to say yes to things, and they know how to say no to things. They know how to make decisions in their life, and it becomes very, very intentional.
So I hear you saying, if you have an awakeness to, okay, these are my drainers, and yet I'm saying yes to them because I'm good at it, whether that's volunteerism or even extra projects at work, that you start to realize, if I take that on, it will actually super drain me.
Deplete.
When I can be extra productive if I only accept things that drive me.
Right.
Now, we shouldn't have the false belief, though, that you're going to have a life that is 100% drivers.
No.
So,
welcome to motherhood. Welcome to being a parent. You're going to do things that you don't want to do.
Yes, you don't want to do.
That's the beauty of a lot of your life is within your control, and a lot of your peace and a lot of your fulfillment is within your control. And it's not about money. What I always like to say is, if you are in your purpose, you are maximizing your purpose, you are working hard and smart at the same time, you will see financial gain. So you're working smart and you're working hard. I don't believe in working smart, not hard. I believe in doing both. But again, it's a stewardship issue. We have 24 hours, that's it. And, somebody who's in her upper 50s now, I need more rest than I used to. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm weaker than I used to be. So I need that time of rest. And otherwise, if I do too much, like I watch you're such a firecracker. You can get more done in one day than anyone I know. And I'm telling no lie when I say that. And anyone who knows you would agree.
Well, thank you.
You just kind of make me tired just by watching you. But it fills you up because you're in your purpose. You're maximizing.
Yeah, I love what I do.
Yeah.
I'm really, really fortunate.
And it fills you up.
Yeah, so it's like exciting to go and do the things. But I have been in seasons, though, that there are exponentially weightier things that are draining me. And even though the day was full and I can do it, man, I'm depleted at the end of it.
Exactly. And those are the days where you have to feel your feels and say, okay, what am I feeling? Because we need to go through our feelings and analyze our feelings instead of numbing our feelings with, many times I eat too much because of numbing, or people drink alcohol, take drugs. They do too much trying to find purpose and being codependent by saying yes to everyone makes them feel like they are worthwhile. Those are the kinds of things that when you feel depleted, you know that something's off and you need to sit in your feelings and be okay with your feelings. I have a feeling wheel on a pillow in my office, and I throw it to my clients when they come in for a session, and they have to identify their top 2 or 3 feelings of that day. And a lot of times it brings tears, and there is healing in tears.
Sounds like my office yesterday, right?
Yeah. Everyone who meets with me cries. But it's a good thing because you're getting to the heart of what really drives you. Yeah. And so to me, and that's another thing, that when somebody's crying, don't hand them a tissue because it actually stops feelings, and you need to stay with the feelings. And if they need a tissue, they can ask for a tissue. But in my office, my clients know the tissue box is there if they need it. But otherwise, they're just blubbering sometimes in working out their
What
feelings.
are those feelings on the wheel?
Oh, gosh. It starts in the middle with the basic feelings like anger, sadness, happiness, those kinds of things. And then it goes out to 2 more levels of feelings.
On the pillow.
On the pillow. And so what it's really good for is, like when I do couples coaching, I want to know from the guy and from the wife, from the husband and the wife, how they're feeling. And often when we're discussing an issue, one will feel totally different than the other, and it's really, really good and very informative to find out the way you're really feeling. Because if you sit in your feelings and you can identify them, that is a superpower. Because if I communicate with you, and this is what I'm always working on with my clients, is how can I specifically communicate, I feel blank when you blank, instead of saying blankety blank, right? And so the whole idea is to really identify feelings and to be honest and transparent and authentic. That's what I'm all about. And that's that pathway to purpose. So I just break it down to the real nitty gritty, and to me, it's a life surrendered to God. Always starts with my faith, and I can't take that out of my practice. So I have a lot of clients who I see via Zoom. I see a lot in person, but it's always the same. There are issues, and everyone numbs their feelings by doing things that drain them in an attempt to find purpose. And those
Interesting.
Drainers don't fill you up.
Okay, so now I'd like you to give our friends here listening, what are some ways that we can purposefully organize our day, realizing there's going to be some drainers and some drivers in the mix of it?
Yeah, I would say it all starts with the basics. And the basics are your values. That drives the wheel. Like I said, that's in the middle of the balance wheel. And for me, my values become my decision tree. So we are faced with so many decisions per day. Relational decisions, financial decisions, health decisions, all of it, right? Work decisions. What do we do with those decisions should come from our values. And if they don't, we are in misalignment. So for me, it's all about alignment, and it's about values, clarification, and living every day, every decision, every minute of the day through my values. So a lot of times we have stated values that if I asked every person out there in your viewing audience, write down your top 5 values. They might say my relationship with God or my faith. They might say my relationship with my spouse, my relationship with my kids, in my case, also my grandchildren, the rest of my family. And then comes my work. You know, in order, it's not first. But if I make my decisions out of those values, I feel like I'm in alignment, and I feel like my drivers are also working in my lane. I'm staying in my lane. But if I get out of alignment, it's usually because I'm not making every single decision during the day based out of my values.
You know what I like to do too when I meet with clients is I like to look at their, I have them do an audit of their time. And so I look at their like 2 to 3 weeks, and I have them literally measure and make it. I do a week at a glance calendar where every 15-minute increment is on there, and they have to write down almost like a diet, but where they're spending their time, whether it was, you know, on a phone call or talking to someone in the hallway or watching social media, whatever. They have to do this whole time audit, and it's very interesting because I think people can have the values stated, but it's a whole different thing to live by them and where your week actually matches up. So Jordan and I actually on Sunday night, we have a CEO meeting at our table, at our kitchen table. And we sit at our table and we look at the week and we make sure that our time is allocated that week in the order of our priorities that you're saying, and that we're giving time to the things that we promised to ourselves. So whether that's, you know, time with each other, time with our kids, making sure that we're the ones picking them up from school to hear about their day. Maybe it's a workout, and we both know we're trying to get healthy. So it's like, okay, when are you going to the gym? When are you going to the gym? I'm going to make it happen for you so that I'll get the kids here. But I think that some people probably should do a time audit on their life.
Probably,
and
I would say.
Yes, and look at how they're spending their time, because honestly, it's just like your money. Your money will go to wherever without even thinking about it because you're not intentional with it. And there's a lot of people out there now talking about finally like, oh, having a real intentional method for how you spend your money before you even get it. So, you know, when it hits the bank, you already have a plan for the month on how that's going to be executed or invested, right? And now I'm saying, why aren't we doing that same that same focused approach on time? Because then it helps you say yes to the right things and no to the wrong things if they don't match your values. But really quick, because we are going to get some tips from Wendy here. I want to know, before you give us these gold nuggets, where can people find you if they want to stay in touch with you?
Oh, sure. I have a website, shirkconsulting.com, SHIRK consulting.com. And I also have an Instagram by the same title, Shirk Consulting. And then I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook account as well.
Okay.
So, and people can email me from my website, you know, contact page.
Great.
And I would love to share resources with people, or, you know, work out a coaching, you know, scenario where we meet for a few sessions and get your life in alignment.
And you have totally done that. Even a few sessions has completely redirected people's paths and got them on track again. And usually what I find is I want more. I'm like, okay, I need more time. All right. So the next thing I'd love for you to talk about is the bundling method. That's kind of where I was going when I was like, hey, how should we structure our day?
Yes.
When we do have a mix of trainers and drivers, because we are going to have tasks, every single one of us, that we don't like. And then we're going to have tasks that we really enjoy. And what I've noticed from managing hundreds of people over 15 years is that usually my staff will do the things that they love first. And then I'm like, why didn't this get done? Oh, I ran out of time.
Right.
And they always run out of time, or at least even me, I can run out of time for the thing that I've been not looking forward to. I've been pushing off, neglecting, not wanting to make the phone call or whatever it might be, and it rolls into the next day.
Yeah, Mindy.
Rolls into the next day. And so it's something I've been really intentional, even with my life, but also with my team, to be focused on. Let's do the hard thing first.
Yes.
But I'd like to hear your suggestions. Besides just the hard thing first, how can we be a little bit intentional about the day setup so that we don't feel depleted? Because, I mean, I've had those days. I literally had a day last fall, Wendy, that I did 6 coaching calls in a row, and they were really hard calls. They were a lot of counseling type, you know, they were going through hard things.
Right.
I felt terrible. But at the end of it, I couldn't even speak. I went home. I sat in a bathtub for over 2 hours. I was so gone.
Depleted.
I was like, I can't ever live a day like this again in my life. It was too much.
Part of that's because you bring your all to everything
Probably,
you do.
yes.
And I do the same thing. I'm all there wherever I am.
All
and
there.
when you are, it means you're giving of everything you have within you,
Like
and
my
your
entire
spirit, soul, everything.
Yes.
You're giving it to that client in the moment. You're giving your all. So sometimes that depletion is not, it's just physical. And that doesn't mean that you aren't filled up emotionally or within your purpose. You're not maximized. So sometimes it's physical and our bodies are just giving way.
Man, yeah.
And the older I get, the less I can do per day. Like, I'll see 5 or 6 clients and I'm done. And most therapists will tell you the same thing. I do know some therapists who'll do 9 hours, but that's just crazy pants, in my opinion, because it's just too much stuff that you're listening to, too much hardship.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But okay, so
back
how
to your,
can we?
yeah.
How can we?
So just
be
like
better?
you said, just like you said with finances, it's a matter of stewardship, and time is a matter of stewardship. So with that, I think what comes to mind, I want to say one thing, and that's biorhythms. I talk about biorhythms with my clients all the time because that's where that time sequencing comes in. You have to look, and everybody's different. Like, how you are really, really sharp late at night and you get some of your best work done when the kids are all asleep and your husband's asleep and you get up, and I know you. I hope it's okay. I'm telling people that.
Yes, it's okay.
Something you talked about in coaching, but that's your time. There would be no way I could ever do that, ever be in the middle of the night like that. So you have to know your biorhythms and when you're the sharpest and when you're the best of you. So for instance, I'm really, really sharp between 9 and 11:30, but not everybody is. So that's why you have to look at your purpose and your biorhythms and how your physical goes with your mental and your spiritual and everything else. And when are you the sharpest? That's when you put the hard things in those categories. So the things that are easy, what I usually do is I tell my clients to do a quick kill in the morning. Right when they get to work, do a quick kill, whether it's 6 in the morning, 7, 8, whenever it is, by doing quick emails that are low-hanging fruit. That's a really quick, let's just accomplish a few things very, very quickly, but not get into the weeds or any kind of projects yet. Then I have them move into their biorhythms, the hardest things, into that time where they're at the best. So whenever you are at your best is when you put the hard things. And then the things that come easily to you, like you said, it's really easy to get those things done. Do those in the afternoon usually. It depends on the client, though. Some people are really fresh in the afternoon, so I don't want to assume.
But the easy stuff is when you're not fresh.
When you're not physically and mentally fresh, that's when you do the easy stuff. And to answer your question on habit stacking and habit bundling, that's something I discuss with all my clients. So what that is saying, okay, habit stacking, let's do that one first. Habit stacking means that I already have a habit that I do really well. Like I always get on the treadmill at a certain time. But I also know that I need to lift weights. So this treadmill thing that I love, because I watch the TV show that I like or whatever, I'm going to always do that. But now I'm going to layer or stack the new habit onto the other habit and cohabitate it together, if that makes sense.
Like
so
they
one
always
habit,
go together.
They always go together then. They're linked. And so you take a habit you're already good at and you stack a new habit on it and you call it the new habit. So that new habit is double, if you will.
Yeah.
So, you always eat a healthy breakfast. Well, also with that healthy breakfast, you're going to have a whole liter of water with that. So you're doing one thing you already do well, stacking it with another thing that you want to do, that you should do. Now, habit bundling is a little different because it's a reward system. So habit bundling says, okay, when I do that difficult task, like for me would be spreadsheets or, analyzing data, because I have to do that when I do my needs assessments for companies or strategic planning. So when I have to do the hard thing, first of all, I'm going to put it within my biorhythms at a good time for that, where I'm fresh. But also, I'm going to bundle it with something fun, like having a fizzy drink or having a nice coffee or listening to music I like, or putting on a candle, or maybe all 4 of those things together.
Yeah, I mean, I've even heard you say this before, and it made sense to me. I was like, when I have to maybe crank out some stuff that I don't want to do, I'll go to like my favorite spot to sit.
Yes.
And even if it's not at home or in my office, maybe it's going physically somewhere to my favorite restaurant or coffee shop. And I'm like, well, at least I'm in a happy place while I crank out my laptop
and
work.
Does it make a difference?
It does.
It certainly does. And so that's bundling. And that is just a reward system. And I'm all about that because I care about myself. And my self-care is very important to me. And everything I do in life has to be fun. That's part of my values.
I think that's why we get along so well.
So I'm gonna reward myself, and it doesn't have to be with something unhealthy to eat. It could be just a fizzy drink that has no calories, or whatever.
Or time with a friend.
Yes.
I mean, for me, sometimes I just work so much that I have to remember to, it would be fine if I extended that afternoon after we have work meetings, and what if I just went and did something fun with them?
I'm glad you brought that up because that is something that God actually dealt with me about for my 2023, my vision board this year. I was really feeling, last year we decided that we would watch our granddaughter 2 days a week. So we're prioritizing that because it comes from our values, and we've chosen to do this. Even before she was born, we always said that we wanted to do that and prioritize that. But with that came a 40% drop of time for me to be able to meet with clients. So I had to become very, very smart. And I know that it was just something that I had to figure out a way to do it and do it well. And I don't remember the exact question what exactly we were talking about. I just had a little brain freeze.
No,
but
just the fun, adding fun to the...
Yeah. So what I realized, though, thank you for bringing me back. What I realized is I was not prioritizing my friendships all of last year while we were watching her. And so what was happening is I wasn't taking care of my friendship needs, and my friends were not getting to see me. And I know that a couple of my friends got honest with me, like, Wendy, you're not as available as you were before. But in my value system, I was doing what I said, and my company wasn't suffering because I was shifting everything to 3 days, but my friendships took a hit. So in 2023, I am planning a friend event every week, one friend event every week, and I'm prioritizing that. So like you said, bundling would work great for that. So you're already doing something.
Maybe you have to go on a walk to exercise. Let's just meet up and walk together.
Let's go together. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good.
Or pick up the phone, or just take extra time. But I'm doing that. I'm prioritizing that once again this year. And that's been hard to give that time up because I only have 3 days now to get all of my business done. Not that I don't work a little bit when our granddaughter's over, but when she's there, it's all about her, and I'm on the floor with her, and my phone is put away. Everything's put away. It's all about her.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, well, we're going to go to the wrap-up of my show where I always ask our guest what her favorite drink is. And you filled this out, and you said LaCroix.
Yes.
So, Wendy, what do we have here today?
We have a LaCroix.
Okay.
Let's see. This is a good one.
What's the flavor?
I can't read it.
Limoncello.
Yeah, limoncello.
Limoncello.
Yeah. Should we pop it?
We should. Okay.
Pop it.
So I know I'm a LaCroix drinker too, and
Yes.
the reason why is because it's very low calorie, but still
zero.
still fizzy, and refreshing. So cheers.
Cheers to you, girlfriend.
Thank you. Well, thanks for being on our show today. I really enjoyed talking about all these things that we can do to maximize our purpose and produce results. So thanks for joining us on the Something New Show, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, review, and share with a friend. Also, follow the Something New Show on Instagram and Facebook. If you want a fuller experience, watch the show on YouTube to help you create a life worth celebrating.